Forza series has always had a special place in my heart for accessibility, not only with its award-winning blind drive assist that was in Forza Motorsport, and including the very first time that we saw ASL and BSL being translated for cinematics in Forza Horizon 5. Does Forza Horizon 6 continue that tradition from Playground Games, or does it kind of take some step backwards in certain ways? Well, I think based on that statement, yeah, it's kind of hit or miss. Let's talk about it. I'm Steve Saylor, I'm blind, and if you're wondering how I can play video games or what I can see when I'm playing video games if I'm blind, take a look at the video here or click the link in the description down below. So yes, I was invited to check out the preview for Forza Horizon 6 by Playground Games. It's the upcoming Forza game that was also helped with by Turn 10, or what is now-ish Turn 10. Unfortunately, they've had a lot of layoffs and the studio is kind of in support mode at this point. But it is something that I love and cherish because it's the first time that I ever really felt like I was able to actually not only race in a race car in a game, but it was the first time that I ever felt like that I was able to compete and actually win a race, thanks to Motorsport's blind drive assist. And Forza Horizon 5 wasn't no slouch either. It did have quite a bit of accessibility in there. It didn't have a lot that compared to, I guess, for Motorsport, but it did sort of pioneer certain things. Again, like I mentioned, the ASL and BSL, which was a really cool thing that they added for the cinematics, where a picture-in-picture would pop up and you have like someone translating an ASL or BSL for deaf and hard of hearing players. Did Forza Horizon 6 continue that tradition? It's not to say that they don't have a lot of accessibility, because if you compare like 5 to 6, it has a ton of accessibility. There is a lot that's there. And this is kind of like one of those times where I'm actually very glad to be able to nitpick the accessibility instead of wondering why this game doesn't have any. So bear with me, even though it may sound like I am like saddened or disappointed by what this game has. Believe me, I'm not. This game has a lot of accessibility that I think will help a lot of disabled players. But if you're looking for very specific features that has either been a Forza staple or has been in other games that you would hope would be in this one, unfortunately, you're kind of missing some. And I think the biggest thing is the blind drive assist. There is no blind drive assist in the sense of it being a one-for-one exact same as Forza Motorsport. Now, before you jump in the comments and bring out your pitchforks and start to be able to, you know, rally against Xbox and Playground, let me give you the context. Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsport are two completely separate games, and they're two completely separate engines. So what was built in one may not be available or applicable or even compatible with the other. And on what it looks like is that is the case for Forza Horizon 6. Because if you think about it, Forza Horizon 6 was also in development at the same time that Forza Motorsport was coming out. So a lot of the core gameplay design that was thoughtfully taken care of in Forza Motorsport from the very beginning, where Brandon Cole helped the team be able to develop this blind drive assist, Playground Games didn't have that built-in knowledge, so they tried the best they could to incorporate what they could in with the little time and also with the engine that they had. And I say that it's not exactly a one-for-one because there are certain things that they kind of do, but they don't fully do. For instance, I will say this does have a screen reader. So if you're wondering if this game is not completely blind, totally blind accessible, it does have a screen reader. It works relatively well, and there's a lot of settings to be able to adjust for. You can not only adjust the actual, like the different voices, and it has like probably the most amount of voice choices that I've ever seen in any game that has a screen reader. I think there's several of the Microsoft voices that are basically just across the board that you can choose whichever voice you like. out of the TTS. You can also adjust the speed and the pitch, and also it has its own volume slider in the audio menu, along with a ton of other audio sliders that you can be able to adjust as well. So there is a screen reader. There also is a proximity radar that it does have a visual on screen, kind of like a little mini map of where the cars are in relation to you. So whether they're behind you, in front of you, or beside you, you have this little mini radar, kind of similar to if you've ever been in, like, say, a Tesla, and you see kind of like all the different cars that are around you, these kind of like these gray blobs that look sort of like cars. Kind of sort of a similar thing, but from a top-down view. So it lets you know if any cars are trying to come up from behind you to the left or to the right, which in a lot of cases in racing games, you don't have that unless you use the reverse camera. And by that point, you might miss a turn, or you might miss a specific point where you have to brake or what have you. So I do like that that's there. And it does beep whenever a car is close to you. And it gets faster whenever a car gets the closest to you. So there is a little bit of an audio cue for that. But it doesn't really, from what I could tell, without really being able to tweak the settings, it doesn't really do a lot of stereoscopic, like you can't tell if, like, okay, one's from the left, one's from the right. It just kind of beeps closer to, like, it gets closer to, as a car gets closer to you. So there is that. The other thing that it has is that there is a GPS that does tell you, like, gives you audio instructions of where to go. So if you're having to be able to drive to a race, it'll tell you to turn left, turn right. It basically adds that kind of like TTS GPS voice, as it were, in the voice of Anna, which is kind of like your onboard computer, onboard basically car assistant, as it were. They also do have screen reader capability to tell you what essentially where you are in general to the race. So it tells you how much percentage of the race that you've driven, and you can be able to adjust that to basically let you know that the notification of whether you're at 25, like every 25%, every 50%, 75%. So you can adjust how often that the TTS basically tells you how far, like what progress you are in the racetrack. You can also be able to have it tell you what position you are in the track, whether you're in first place or 12th. And you can have that frequently happen every time that change position, or every once in a while. So they do have some things that tell you where you are in the race. But if you're looking for the very specific audio cues to let you know where on the track you are, what how to be able to turn into the next turn, what is coming up for the next turn, all that sort of like audio cues that you would hope and expect to come from Motorsport into Horizon 6, unfortunately is not there. And again, I want to be able to preface this. This is not necessarily they do not care about accessibility, or they do not care about blind accessibility, because you can tell by the efforts that they were able to try to work all that stuff in. There is a lot of context that needs to be given. Like I said at the beginning, first off, this is a preview build, so there is a possibility that the blind drive assist might be available at launch and just wasn't available in the preview build. It is a different engine. Forza Motorsport and the Horizon engine are two completely different things, and they also have their own legacy engine that has been built for years that potentially both are just not compatible. That's what happens when you have two different studios working on two similar games, but in two completely different engines. Yes, they did have Turn 10 to help support them in the making of Forza Horizon 6, but there more than likely is the case that just the engines weren't compatible for it, and they just didn't potentially had enough time to be able to implement and be able to try to be able to build from scratch a full blind drive assist audio cue system that would work. Because also you have to think about it too, this is an open world game. This is not just a regular, like, just race from beginning to end and you just choose the different races for you. Whereas that's in Motorsport. Whereas Horizon has always been an open world game. So how do you necessarily like include that into an open world game when the player decides on where they want to drive? Now, granted, they also do have an auto drive system that can get you from race to race, or point of interest to point of interest, using the kind of the auto drive feature, and it'll just drive you directly there, which is also great for blind players, but it does take away the agency of being able to explore and drive around the world of Japan, which is absolutely gorgeous. So I say all that again. I have to like this. I know it's a very long like section for just blind drive assist or lack thereof in this game, but I want to at least let you know that Playground Games does care about accessibility. It's not that they don't care about accessibility. It's just more likely that they just couldn't implement what we had hoped for in this as compared to what we had experienced in Forza Motorsport. But with all that being said, I think it's time to be able to talk about some of the things I loved about Forza Horizon 6. And one of their biggest features, I think is probably the biggest accessibility feature in the game, is high contrast mode. So let me show you essentially what that looks like. They've actually done a lot for high contrast in this, where you have you can have the ability to be able to change the shader of the car to be a full color, and you can change whatever color that you like. They have some preset colors, but they don't have where you can choose any specific color. But you can also have a thick outline or a thin outline. I didn't have enough time to be able to go through all of that because I had a very limited time with the game. So I wasn't able to go through everything that I would hope for in regards to accessibility, but it does have quite a bit of settings that I was not able to touch in the game. And so again, I have it as a full shader for your car. You can be able to have a shader for your component or opponents, not components. You have a shader for your opponent's cars, which is great. You can have a shader for the road itself. You can change that color as well. You can even change the racing line color, as including the braking colors, which is great. You can even change for NPC cars. So if you're just in the open world, you can change the color of that as well for any vehicles that are just driving by. You can even have it where, as you can see, that all the tree trunks are all white. That's not a stylistic choice. That is something you can be able to choose as an option. You can have the tree colors, the trunk colors, be white. You change the checkpoint colors. You can change the barriers on the side of the roads. You can change the colors for that, so it makes it a little bit easier to see. And I really did appreciate all this. You can even change the color of the sky, the background, to basically eliminate the background, mute the background altogether, so you can be able to see a little bit more of the track. It definitely is a very extremely robust high contrast system. Now, I will say that there is a little bit of render lag that I found when I was playing around this, especially when you kind of get up to the high speeds, because it's having to render the high contrast mode. Oh yeah, they have the right track rewind, which, as you can tell, I'm not that great at racing, and I'm terrible at it. But they do, like, I did notice that there is a bit of render lag, that it's trying to render ahead as much as possible. And I was playing this on an Xbox Series X, and I could definitely tell that there was some lag in the trying to render the high contrast mode. So just as a heads up, this might be the preview build. It just probably is not as optimized fully as of yet. So I would expect that to hopefully be able to be optimized or fixed by the time that this game comes out. But this is actually this is very cool. Like you can tell that there is a lot that has been done for this mode that really does make this game a lot more playable for low vision players. Now, would I've liked to have this plus the blind drive assist? Of course, but I think that this is a great feature that I think has never been done. Like, it has never been done before in a racing game, and I would love to be able to see this moving forward, because there are times where it is difficult to be able to know where I need to go on the track, where the opponents are. I want to say enemies, but where the opponents are in relation to the track, and with also the TTS that is provided with the progress of how far you are on this track versus also what position you are, and the proximity radar. I think that there is a lot here that I think can cover a lot of the blind spectrum. It just may not have everything that we would want or want to have as in comparison to motorsport. I will say that there is a lot similar to Forza Motorsport. There is a lot that you're going to probably have to tune into the settings to be able to make this more comfortable for you. So it might take you a while to finally tune and adjust the accessibility that works best for you. Would I have liked to have seen maybe some presets to kind of help you out, kind of get you started? I think that would have been great, instead of having to go through in each individual setting and adjust it yourself and customize it yourself, but it is available there for you. It's just similar to Forza Motorsport. I think once you tweak the settings and tune it to what works best for you, it will definitely make the game a lot more comfortable for you to be able to play. So with that being said, there is a lot that's there that I wish I could cover more in this game or in this video, but this video is already long enough as it is, and unfortunately I couldn't be able to get a huge amount of time with the preview as much as I would have wanted. But we'll hoping for the full review code to come through, and I'll be able to look into the accessibility with a bit more detail then. If you have any questions about this, there's a lot that I probably didn't cover that I could probably answer in the questions down below. Leave it in the comments. That would really appreciate it. If you want to be able to see more of my videos, make sure to be able to click the like button to let me know that you like this video, and to subscribe so you can be seeing more of my videos when they come out. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a good one. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.